right, good morning, party people. It is December 19th, Tuesday. Good morning. Okay, so I'm going to try something new. I don't want to go into a long story about this, but I feel like the way I'm doing this Bible study, I know now why people do one chapter at a time. I feel like I'm not being able to honor the word like I should because of the way I read the Bible. So I'm not sure that that's a good way to present it for you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick to what everybody else does, which is trying to stick with one book and go through that one book and just be able to go into it a little bit more thoroughly, and maybe you guys will be able to follow a little bit better. But we'll see. I'm going to try this for right now. I hate to do that because I love so much of the Bible. I hate spending so much time in one book, but I mean, our daily reading will still be the same. So if you're doing the daily reading, then you're going to be getting little tastes from all the different books. So hopefully that will suffice. So anyways, today we are back in the Old Testament. Yesterday we were with Jesus and it was freaking awesome. Today our daily reading is going to be Leviticus chapters 13, 14, Ezra. We're back in Ezra today, 5, 6. Revelations 5, 6, Psalms 9 through 10, and then Proverbs 15. Okay, so that's our daily reading for the day. And so I'm going to also only do one chapter at a time. I feel like when I'm trying to upload these videos, sometimes it's 4 and 5 videos, and I'm not sure how effective that is for you guys, because I know that they just kind of appear in different places. I don't think they appear chronologically except in my feed, which I don't think very many people go there to look for it. I think most people just see it when it pops up. So I'm just going to try and do one chapter at a time and really honor God's word and kind of flesh it out a little bit more for you guys. All right, so today we're going to be in Ezra, and we're just going to follow the book of Ezra through. In chapter 5 in Ezra, when we left off, remember Ezra was the book when we just did Chronicles, right, in the Old Testament prior to Ezra. So remember in the book of Chronicles, we've got, here's the northern kingdom which fell, the one guys in parentheses. When Ezra created the book of Chronicles, he didn't even cover these guys. The northern kingdom broke away. They were not following God. Here's the southern kingdom. This is the one that Jesus, the Davidic lineage. And then we ended here as far as having their autonomy, and then they went into captivity, right, to Babylon. So what we're seeing here is Ezra was the scribe that created Chronicles, right? He put together Chronicles, and it was to encourage the people when they were going back from the captivity of Babylon, which is what we're seeing here in the book of Ezra, right? So now we're in his book, and on the timeline, what we're going to see here is right here in chapter 5, right at the beginning, he mentions the prophets Haggai and Zechariah, who are awesome. They have their own books here in the Bible. They're further on. And so you see how they are playing an instrumental role in encouraging the returning Jewish group to continue to rebuild the temple. They're admonishing them because they had stopped, right? The first 4 chapters we saw in Ezra in the previous study, how they had come under attack by the Samaritans, who were the surrounding nations, and they had harassed them and had started legal lawfare with them, with the Persian courts, to try and distract them and keep them occupied so that they couldn't continue to build the temple of the Lord. But they were sent there by Cyrus, and remember we saw in the previous study that God had called Cyrus by name in the book of Isaiah. We are also studying the book of Isaiah. So that's the cool thing about doing all the different books. You see how they are all so interlaced, right? So it's kind of a bummer, but I don't have the ability to do them the way I've been doing them. It took me 3.5 hours the other day to upload videos because I live way out in the middle of nowhere and we have horrible internet connection. I actually, if I'm not at work, I have to go to a little local store and upload all these videos. It's just atrocious. So anyways, the things we do for Jesus. So anyways, so I'm going to try this new process, and I'm going to stick with Ezra and continue out through that storyline and just see how that goes. All right, so here, let me show you on my little tattered map where we're at, right? So that you guys have an idea historically where we're at. So here, of course, is, like I always say, this is the northern kingdom. This is the southern kingdom down here. This is the fall of the northern kingdom into Assyria. This is eventually, the southern kingdom falls to Babylon. And here is where we're at in the book. So here's the book of Daniel, and here is the first restoration coming back under Zerubbabel, right here. And so here you're introduced to the prophets. I can't read it backwards. Haggai should be here, and also Zechariah. So you should see those there somewhere. There's Haggai. I wrote that in. And then Zechariah I think that's Zechariah. So you're going to see them introduced here as well. So that's kind of where they're at on the timeline. All right, so let's start with chapter 5. So restoration of the temple resumed. So then the prophet Haggai and Zechariah, the son of Iddo, prophets, prophesied to the Jews who were in Judah and Jerusalem in the name of the God of Israel who was over them. And then so what's really awesome is if you go back to just the first chapter of Haggai is only 2 chapters. If you go back to Haggai and read that, and then you read Zechariah, the whole thing is, it says that they're in the time of Darius and that they're prophesying to the Jews that are there. It's awesome. So if I have time, I'm going to try and touch on those. And then, who were in Judah and Jerusalem in the name of the God of Israel who was over them. So Zerubbabel, so remember Zerubbabel is of the lineage of David. They call him also the king of Judah. So he would be on that list that I just showed you of the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom. He would be on that southern kingdom list. He was the one that was sent back with Joshua the high priest and a lot of the Jews to go back to Israel to rebuild the temple under Cyrus. So Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel and Jeshua the son of Jehozadak, that's the priest, rose up and began to build the house of God, which is in Jerusalem, and the prophets of God were with them, helping them. So the prophets of God are Haggai and Zechariah. So if you have time, go back and read Haggai and Zechariah. They're short and they're powerful, and you're going to see how they're specifically calling out and talking to these people right here. And then it says, verse 3, at the same time, Tattenai, the governor of the region beyond the river, and Shethar-boznai and their companions came to them and spoke thus to them, Who has commanded you to build this temple and finish this wall? Then accordingly we told them the names of the men who were constructing this building. But the eye of their God was upon the elders of the Jews, so that they could not make them cease till a report could go to Darius. Darius was the king of Babylon, the ruler who took over the Assyrian Empire. Then a written answer was returned concerning this matter. This is a copy of the letter that Tattenai sent. Now, under the Babylonian kingdom, there were only 20 governors. So this guy, Tattenai, was extremely powerful. He was only one of 20, and they reported directly back to the king. So if you're called before him, it's like coming before an emperor, right? He was very powerful. And the other guy was his assistant. So this is what the copy of the letter that Tattenai, one of the 20 regional guys, sent back to King Darius. The governor of the region beyond the river, and Shethar-boznai and his companions, the Persians, who were in the region beyond the river, to Darius the king. That's how it starts. Then in parentheses it says, they sent a letter to him in which was written thus. So here it goes. To Darius the king, all peace. Let it be known to the king that we went into the province of Judea to the temple of the great God, which is being built with heavy stones, and timber is being laid in its walls. And this work goes on diligently and prospers in their hands. So one of the things that they mentioned in the commentaries that this was, when he's writing this letter, it's very respectful. So it called into question at one point whether or not this was actually a true document, that that he wrote this. In fact, they were trying to, some of the scholars were saying, well, clearly this is just something that the Jewish people a long time ago made up because it's so respectful of God, here when they're talking about the God that the Jews worshipped. But in fact, that's how they were with other people as well. When there was issues with their gods or whatever, they were very respectful. So that was proved to be false. So then verse 9, the letter continues. Then we asked those elders and spoke thus to them, Who commanded you to build this temple and to finish these walls? We also asked them their names to inform you that we might have the names of those men who were chief among them. And thus they returned us an answer, saying, now this is the answer that the Jews gave to Tattenai the governor that he's giving to Darius. So this is the Jews' response. We are the servants of the God of heaven and earth, and we are rebuilding the temple that was built many years ago, which a great king of Israel built and completed. But because our fathers provoked the God of heaven to wrath, he gave them into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, the Chaldean, who destroyed the temple and carried the people away to Babylon. Okay, so I'm going to have to finish this in the next video. Okay, so I will definitely be able to finish this in 2 sessions. But there's a lot of stuff going on with their response. I just want to get into that. Okay, so hold tight. Number 2 is coming. We're only going to cover chapter 5 today. And then we'll cover chapter 6 tomorrow. All right, so if you only see this one video, remember there's only one way to the Father. That's through Jesus Christ. Okay, peace. Read your Bible. Stay tuned for number 2.